Hello students. In this video session, we will learn the Quine-McCluskey method for minimization of Boolean expressions. This method was actually introduced by Willard Quine in 1952 and it was extended by Edward McCluskey in 1956. This method is the method of prime implicants and it is basically used for minimization of Boolean functions. So the objective of this video session is to understand and apply this method for reduction of Boolean expressions. Actually, this method is functionally similar to that of the K-map technique. However, instead of representing the mean terms in the form of a graphical interface, this technique utilizes a tabular form for reduction. So if we have a K-map and if we have a two variable K-map, we would require 4 squares to represent the 4 mean terms. If we had a 3 variable K-map, then 8 squares will be required. If we have a 4 variable K-map, we would require 16 squares and so on and so forth. If we have 5 variable K-map, we would require 32 squares. And if there was a 6 variable K-map, 64 squares would be required. And as the number of variables increase, then the number of squares required would also increase. So the proportion is 2 raised to n. If there are n variables, the number of squares would be required would be 2 raised to n. This becomes very tedious when the number of variables are 8, 9 or more than that, and the graphical interface becomes very difficult to handle and then further minimize the terms. Also, let's look at one more point of view. Let's say we have a 4 variable K map where there are 6 ones as shown in this particular example, and the colored groups are the groups which are necessary to form the group of ones in the biggest possible way. So if we look at the group in red, it is a group of 4 ones. Rather, it is a group of 2 ones combined with 2 don't cares, and therefore it is represented by a term which is BD. Then there is a group of 2 ones which is in blue and the other which is in green. Now these are essentially 3 groups which are required to cover all the ones and in the biggest possible way. However, if a user who is not very familiar with this particular technique, he might combine the ones in a different way as shown in the gray groups. And these are the terms which are essentially not the biggest groups, or these may not be required because the ones which are covered in these groups are already covered in some other group. So if we look at the group of ones which are being formed, then this particular formation requires a certain ability with the user to form the least number of groups, and in the groups which are the biggest possible groups such that they cover all the ones. This particular ability is a sort of a human ability, and it is especially difficult when we have 6 variable K maps, where you can see that uh, in this subgroup of 16 squares, there is a group of 4 ones. Similarly, there is another group of 4 ones over here, a group of 4 ones in the third subgroup also, and in the fourth group also. So apparently it feels that there are 4 groups of 4 ones, but these 4 groups are such that actually if they are put one above the other, then they are adjacent to each other in the terms of adjacency of K maps, and this is difficult to visualize in the form of a graphical interface. So this ability is human dependent, and therefore it might result in may not result in achieving the exact reduced expression. So some of the highlights of this new method, which is the Quine-McCluskey method, is it has a capability of handling large number of variables. It does not depend on the human ability to judge the possible reduction, and therefore it ensures the minimized expression at the end of this procedure. and it is more suitable for computer implementation than the graphical method of K-maps. So let us first look at some essential terms before we proceed to understand this method. What is a literal? A literal is a variable which may be in its complemented form or uncomplemented form. For example, a or a bar or x or x bar is referred as a literal. Also, if we have a K-map, let's say for example, in this case where there are 8 ones, and we have a group of these 4 ones which is represented by a product which is CD, then the other 2 ones are combined over here with these two to form a group of 4 ones, and it is represented by a product term which is B bar C bar. These two groups are actually covering all the ones which are present in the K map. However, there can be a third group, possible group, which is of these two ones, which is shown with a uh, blue color combined with these two ones, and this particular group would result in a product term which is B bar D. Actually, these are the 4 possible groups in this particular K map. So these three products represent uh, the prime implicants of the groupings which can be formed. However, the only prime implicants which are essential are the CD and the B bar C bar. The reason is these two product terms cover all the ones which are in the K map. The B bar D term does not is not an essential one, because the ones which were involved in this particular group are already covered in the other two groups. So the CD plus B bar C bar is the term which represent the essential prime implicants. So these two terms, prime implicants and essential prime implicants, are necessary to understand the method further. So let's take an example of a function which consists of 4 variables, and it is a summation of mean terms which are shown 0, 1, 3, 7, 8, 9, 11, and 15. So the procedure starts with the step of forming groups of mean terms. So the first group would consist of those mean terms where there are no ones. So let's take the mean term which is 0, and if we represent it in the binary form which is 0, 0, 0, 0, it has no 1 in any of these variables. So let's form the group 0 consisting of the mean term which is 0. The second group is that of a single one. So let's look at the mean terms which have single ones. And the first is the mean term which is 1, and the second mean term which is 8. So 1 is represented by 0, 0, 0, 1, and 8 is represented by 1, 0, 0, 0. So these two mean terms have only one single one. If we look at the second group, which consists of two ones, then there would be uh, two mean terms. One is the 3 mean term, and the second is the 9. 3 is represented by 0, 0, 1, 1. There are two ones, and in 9 also there are two ones. Similarly, we form a group of those mean terms where there are three ones, and these mean terms are 7 and 11. And then the last group, which is of 4 ones, is that of 15, because that's the only mean term of 4 variables which can have all 4 ones, and that is included in this particular expression. So we form the fourth group, which is of the mean term 15. So after having segregated the mean terms in groups where there are no ones or single ones or a pair of ones or three ones or four ones, these groups would now be compared whether there is a possibility of formation of uh, a group of two ones. So the procedure is compare the mean terms in the consecutive groups and include only those pair of mean terms in which one column changes, that is, one variable changes, and if one variable changes, put a dash in that column, and this is equivalent to forming a group of two ones. So let's compare the first two groups, that is the group of no ones and the group of single ones. So the group of 0 has only one mean term, which is 0. However, the group of single one has two mean terms, 1 and 8. So 0 will be compared with 1 and 0 will be compared with 8. So when 0 is compared with 1, we find that A is 0, B is also 0, C is also 0, and D is changing. So there is only one variable change, and therefore we form a pair of 0 and 1. Also, if we compare 0 and 8, A is changing from 0 to 1. However, B is constant, C is constant at 0, and D is also constant at 0. So only one variable change. So we can form a pair of 0 and 8 as well. And therefore, in the next table, this becomes the group 0, where we write the pair of 0 and 1 and 0 and 8 as a possible combination of two ones in this particular example. The next comparison would be that of the group of single ones with the group of two ones. Now, in both these groups, we have two mean terms. So there would be four comparisons. That is, one will be compared with 3, one will be compared with 9. Then 8 will be compared with 3 and 8 will be compared with 9. And each of these comparisons will be looking at if there is one variable change, only then these two terms can form, these two mean terms can form a pair. So if we compare 1 with 3, A is 0, B is 0, C is changing, and D is 1. So there is only one variable change which is at C, therefore 1 can be combined with 3 to form a pair. And in similar manner, we could do the other comparisons, and this results in three possible pairs, that is 1, comma 3, 1 with 9, where there is only A which is changing, therefore we put a dash, and 8, comma 9, where D is changing and we put a dash. The only combination, the only pair which is not included over here is 8, comma 3. Let's look at why. A is changing, A is 1 and A is 0 over here. So one change. B is 0, 1. B is 0, 0. C is changing from 0 to 1. So this is second variable change. And D is also changing from 0 to 1. So third variable change. So 8 and 3 cannot be combined to form a group of two ones because they have three variable changes. So the possible combinations over here for a pair of two ones are these three. Now the next comparison is with the next two groups, and that is the group of two ones compared with a group of three ones. And here also we get three pairs, that is 3 combined with 7. B is changing, so with the dash is put. 3 combined compared with 11, A is changing, so a dash is included over here. The remaining three variables are constant. And 9 compared with 11, and there is a change in C. The combination or the pair which is not included over here is 9 with 7. The reason is A is changing, B is changing, C is changing. Three variable change. Therefore, 9 and 7 cannot form a pair of two ones in this particular example. And then the last comparison would be the group of three ones with a group of four ones. And here we obtain two possible pairs, that is 7 with 15 and 11 with 15. Having obtained all the possible pairs of two ones, so we have four groups over here. After having compared the earlier 5 groups, which were the original groups, we obtain new 4 groups over here. These represent the possible combinations of two ones. The next step would be to obtain the group of four ones. and the procedure is the same. The group 0 is compared with group 1. Group 1 will be compared with group 2, and group 2 will be compared with group 3 of the table which is shown. Now, the first thing which is to be done is when we compare the group 0 with group 1, the mean term, so the pair is first matched with respect to the dash, and then it is checked whether any other single variable is changing. So the procedure is compare the pair of mean terms in the two consecutive groups, check first for the matching dash, then check the comparison of the pair of mean terms in which only one column is changing, that is one variable, and put a second dash in that column. And this is equivalent to making a group of 4 ones. So let's compare the group 0 with group 1. So 0 1 pair will be compared with 1 3, 0 1 will be compared with 1 9, 0 1 will be compared with 8 9. So when we do this comparison, we first match the dash of 0 1, and the dash is at D. However, when we compare 0 1 with these three rows of group 1, we find that the dash matches with only 8 9. So obviously the group can be formed with only 8 and 9. So if the dash matches, then let's look at the remaining three variables. So A changes from 0 to 1, B is 0, and C is 0. So from among the three variables, now only A, that is one variable, is changing, and the remaining two, B and C, are constant. So we put a dash at 1 at A, and the dash at D is retained as it is. Now 0 8 is compared with the three rows in the group 1. So the first procedure, the step is to match the dash. So the dash is at A and it matches only with the pair which is 1 9. So the comparison shows that B is constant, C is constant, and D changes from 0 to 1. So only one variable change after the first dash is found matching. So a dash is put over here and B and C are 0 0. Now, if we look at the mean terms which have been formed over here, in the first comparison, we had a group of 0, 1, 8, 9. And in the second comparison, we obtained 0, 8, 1, 9. But the mean terms are the same. That means it represents the same group of 4 ones. Let us compare the group 1 and group 2. Now, here in each of the groups, there are 3 pairs each. So if we compare 1 3 with the remaining 3 pairs in the group 2, we first match the dash which is at C, and it matches only with 9 and 11. So the grouping can be done of 1 3 9 and 11 only. So that is why the first group is 1 3 9 11. We put a dash at C. Let's compare the remaining, that is, if A is changing from 0 to 1, that is the first change, but B is constant at 0 and C is constant at 1. So 0 and 1 is put over here and a dash is included in the variable which is changing. Similarly, if we compare 1 9 with these three, the dash is matching at the A position, so a dash is included and the remaining procedure is followed the same. Again, we obtained the same group of mean terms 1 3 9 11 or 1 9 3 11. It's the same group for a combination of 4 ones. Next, we compare with the group 2 with group 3 and we obtained two groups 3 7 11 15, 3 11 7 and 15. Identically, these two groups are the same to form a group of 4 ones. So which means that these are the three possible groups of 4 ones which can be made with the available mean terms. The first group is 0 1 8 9, the next is 1 3 9 11, and then the third is 3 7 11 15. Now let's look at whether we can go one step further to form a group of 8. Now the procedure is the same. the group 0 will be compared with group 1 and group 1 will be compared with group 2. But the comparison will start with matching of the dash first. Now there are two dash in two columns rather, and these would be matched. So if these two dashes match, then only the further comparison will take place. Now if we look at group 0, the dash are in A and the D column, and it does not match with any of the groups in group 1. And in group 1, also if we look at the dash which are in A and C, they do not match with the group 2. Therefore, neither group 0 can be combined with group 1, neither group 0 can be combined with group 2, neither group 1 can be combined with group 2 to form a group of 8. Therefore, it means that there is no further possible grouping possible to make a bigger group, and this is the largest possible group of 4 ones which can be obtained in this particular example. Now, let us understand whether these groups are essential in terms of getting the product terms. So, the first group, which is 0, 1, 8, 9, this is represented by B bar C bar. The reason is B is 0 and C is 0, so the product term is B bar C bar. The second group, that is 1, 3, 9, 11, where B is 0 and D is 1, is represented by B bar D. And the last group, which is 3, 7, 11, 15, is represented by CD. So these are the three terms which represent the three group of 4 ones. So the expression which we can write for this particular mean terms, these mean terms are y CD plus B bar C bar plus B bar D. These represent the prime implicants. Are they the essential ones? This is the question which can be answered by writing the table for the prime implicants. So the first prime implicant is B bar C bar, which includes 0, 1, 8, 9. And we write all the mean terms and we put a cross for those mean terms which are included in this prime implicant, which is B bar C bar. Similarly, we take B bar D, which is a combination of 1, 3, 9, 11. So we put a cross at 1, 3, 9 and 11. Then we take the third prime implicant, which is CD, 3, which represents 3, 7, 11, 15. And we put a cross at 3, 7, 11 and 15. And now we'll take only those prime implicants which have a cross in only one of the columns of the mean terms. So the first is that of the 0, that is 0 is being included in B bar C bar, then it is 8, then it is 7, and then it is 15. That is, these are the mean terms which are the essential ones because these cover the mean terms essentially only once. So the reduced expression for this particular Boolean expression is YCD plus B bar C bar, and these are the essential prime implicants. These are the same prime implicants which we had obtained using the K-map at the start of this session, and therefore this particular Quine-McCluskey method is demonstrated using this particular Boolean summation of mean terms. I hope you have understood this method, but if there are any queries, please write to me at pdbhambre@kkbag.edu.in. And thank you for watching this video.